What's up, everyone? I'm your host, GSmith64, and welcome back to Fictional Characters in D&D. Today, we're still within the RWBY universe for this build. We are looking at the one and only Vomit Boy himself, Jaune Arc. So let's go ahead and hop on into it, shall we? So, kicking off this build, as always, we are talking about the difficulty of the build and the difficulty of the RP. Honestly, it's nothing crazy in either of them. Difficulty is going to be a little higher, ranking it at a 3 out of 5, simply because we are multi-classing two different spellcasters, so we're going to have some difficulty there, but if you've done that before, then it shouldn't be too difficult for you. As for the difficulty RP, though, I guess a 2.5 out of 5. Johnny Boy himself is a fairly simple man. Pretty much as simple as RWBY is in the series. Trying to be a good person, similar to RWBY. However, you do have a little more character than her. At least, questioning when you do illegal things, if it's the right thing to do, before you go and do it right afterwards. So, I mean, slightly more character. Making it slightly more difficult. I'm gonna get so much hate from the RWBY community saying that. So now let's get into the goals of the build. To be the best Vomit Boy out there that we want to be, we want the following things. We want to make sure we get Crochamores. I always butcher that name. I'm not going to say it right the whole entire time. The Aura Amplification, his Sim Balance. I'm going to butcher that word a lot too. We're going to try and get the healing aspect of it and the boosting others aspect of it. I know his Sim Balance doesn't actually heal people, just boosts their aura to heal them. But we can't really stimulate that, so instead we are going to try and give him a little bit of healing that can kind of be the amplification of that. Next, of course, we want big amounts of aura, and to be stupidly good at dancing. The big amounts of aura is going to be stimulated by having a big chunk of health. Because let's face it, there's not really aura in 5th edition. So we gotta have workarounds for it. That being said, let's go ahead and get to the build. So, first thing in this build we have to talk about is race. Surprise, surprise, we're being human. Even more surprising, we're going Variant Human. Variant Human, as always, gives you an extra feat, or gives you a feat, an extra skill, another language, we don't care about that, pick whatever you want, and +1 to 2 of our stats of our choosing. We'll get into most of that later. Just for now, that's the stuff we're going to be taking. However, quick note that the extra skill we're going to be getting from this will be Perception. Now, we'll also talk about our background. And we're going to do something with background we've never actually done before on the show. We're going to make a custom background. Custom backgrounds, when you make your own, let you pick 2 of skills of any of your choice, and allow you to take 2 additional proficiencies in tools, instruments, or another language. So, with the power of the custom background, we're going to take the following skills: Deception and Performance. Deception we are taking because John was pretty decent at lying. Able to lie to his parents, be able to sneak off, able to lie into Beacon, granted Osmond knew, but not the rest of the staff, and lie to his team on more than one occasion. He's not bad at lying by any means. Thus, I decided to give him Deception. Performance, it's pretty obvious. That is so we are a god at dancing. Then, of course, we have those 2 extra proficiencies in instrument, tools, or languages. One of them, free reign, pick whatever you want with it. The other, though, we're going to pick a lute. And the main reason for that is because John knows how to play a guitar, but there aren't guitars in D&D. Lute is the closest thing to a guitar, so we're going to take one of those. Let's get into the meat of the first part. Let's talk stats. As always, we will be using the point buy for this build. Feel free to roll stats if you want. Just use this as a template in this case. So the big thing about John is he doesn't really have bad stats. He doesn't have great stats either. In the show, he's surprisingly able to keep up with his peers due to the lack of despite the lack of actual training he has with anything related to combat. So his stats are kind of going to show that by being well-rounded in pretty much everything. Our highest stat will be Strength at 14. Because John is strong, but he's not like stupid strong. Not on levels of Nora and Yang and such. At least not at first. This will be followed by Dexterity and Charisma, which will both be 13. However, they're both going to get that +1, boosting them to 14. So we're going to have 3 stats 14. The reason for this is that we're going to be sticking with medium armor to match Jaune's armor from the show, and so that way we don't have to get an unarmored defense somewhere later in the build. And having +2 into your dex means we're getting the full potential out of our medium armor. As for why our charisma is that high, it is going to be the spell focus of both classes that we're going to be taking. Both of them use charisma, giving you hints of what class we're going to choose in a minute. So we got to make sure it's decent. Next up after that is another tie with Constitution and Wisdom, both being at 12. So, the simple reason why I went over Wisdom over Intelligence is the same reason I did with the RWBY build, is because personally for me, Wisdom is being wise on the battlefield, knowing how to flow in the battlefield, where Intelligence is more book smarts. Wisdom, simple saying that I think fits this well. Intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit, but Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit smoothie. Simple enough, I guess, but that's my reasoning, that Wisdom over Intelligence. Not to say our Intelligence is bad by any means. It's going to be a 10. So, Intelligence isn't bad by any means. Nothing is bad in this build. It's just going to be at a flat 0 instead of a +1 like everything else. So, now that's done, let's go ahead and get into class, because this will be fun. So, starting at level 1, we're going to be a Paladin. This will give us access to a D10 hit dice and the ability to lay on hands. This will be representing the healing part of our Orbital Amplification Symbols. On top of this, we're going to get 2 skills from going Paladin, which will be Athletics and Medicine. You could swap out Medicine for Persuasion if you really want. It's really dealer's choice, because we're going to get both anyways. Starting equipment, we will take a long sword and a shield. Then, the chainmail is fine for now, but we will want to upgrade that to a breastplate later down the line. That is going to be a much better choice for armor compared to the chainmail for us. Level 2 comes around. Again, we gain a fighting style. Again, this is dealer's choice on it. Either take defense, boost your AC by 1 while wearing armor, or take protection, so that way you can better defend your allies from attacks. You don't want them to be shot by wooden arrows or anything like that. On top of this, we gain access to the first level spells. I'd recommend at the very least Cure Wounds, so that way you have a little more healing in your back pocket. But honestly, the rest of the spells are dealer's choice again. We don't really need that many spells, because we're going to be using them a lot more for smites. Because while Jaune may not be as strong as Nora and Yang, at least at first in the series, his swings later on in the line pack a hefty punch. So what better way to get that insane strength than to hit it with a smite? I feel like that's a good way to bolster our strength, since our strength right now is only 14. Level 3 comes around, and we gain our archetype. I personally recommend we take the Crown. It's in the Swords Coast book, but I'll leave a link to it in the description in case you don't have access to Swords Coast. The reason we choose this over other archetypes is because it's 7th level ability, so I mean you won't talk. The reasoning will get explained much later on. But the level 3 abilities aren't bad by any means. You get Champion, Challenge, and Turn the Tide. Both of these are divine calls that you can use. Champion Challenge forces enemies to make a Wisdom saving throw, and if they fail it, they have to stay within 30 feet of you. Kind of drawing the aggro of all enemies better than Compel Duel does. On top of this, Turning the Tide allows you to give a decent AoE heal to all your allies within 30 feet if they're below half health, keeping them in the fight longer. On top of this, we get our Oath spells, which is cool, I guess, but not really important. Level 4 comes around, and we're going to stay Paladin and just gain +2 to our strength. Nothing really crazy there. You could put it into Charisma, really dealer's choice. Level 5, Paladin again. Again, nothing too crazy. Just going to get multi-attack and access to 2nd level spells. Spells don't really matter too much until we get into our multi-class, because there's not really a lot of spells that fit Jaune. So if you want to add more spells to him, feel free to, but I'm really just saving a lot of these for smites. That's what I felt fit the best there. It's just saving all of our spell slots for smites and the occasional cure wounds. So level 6 comes around and we are finally going to multiclass. We're going to multiclass into Bard, which will give us another skill, which is going to be the one we did take earlier, that being Medicine or Persuasion. They both fit Jaune, with him being a top-notch leader and the fact he talks about knowing how to patch up simple wounds from times with his siblings. So they both fit, so whichever one you didn't take earlier, take now. On top of this, we also gain Bardic Inspiration, which we can give to our allies to further amplify their abilities, kind of going into the aura amplification. For now, you only have 2 of those, maybe 3, so do use them wisely. Level 7 comes around and we take our second level in Bard. We gain Jack of all trades, which gives us half our proficiency bonus to any ability checks we aren't proficient in. Kind of going back to the Jaune being not really bad at anything. I mean, except catching on to women's clues that they love him, of course. But this means all of our skills that we didn't have proficiency in now get half our proficiency, which isn't bad, especially because we don't have any negative stats, so it's going to further boost those even more. Level 8 comes and goes, and with that we gain our third and final level of Bard. We gain a lot from this, so be prepared. Starting off, we gain our Bardic archetype, which is going to be Valor. This makes it so your Bardic Inspiration can be used on damage rolls and on AC as a reaction. This is to help keep your team a little more protected or give them just a little more damage, so that way you're helping them out just a little more. Next up, you gain Expertise, and the 2 skills I recommend you do that with are Performance and Persuasion. Expertise means you're going to double your proficiency in those skills. This way, your dancing skills will become even more insane, so that way you are a god of dancing, kind of like Jaune is, which is insane, and so that way you can persuade people to listen to you more often. You're actually going to be better at this in the RWBY build, funnily enough, but hey, that wasn't intentional. It just happens to fit. Next up, this is a small note here. You do gain 3rd level spell slots, but you won't have any spells to actually cast with that. That is due to multiclassing and how multiclassing works. However, you do gain access to 2nd level Bard spells. And while we aren't taking many spells from Bards, if hardly any, there is one reason and one reason alone we did multiclass in the Bard, other than the other stuff, of course. And that is for the spell Enhance ability. You touch a creature and bestow upon it a magical enhancement. The target will gain a benefit from a list that is in the spell description of your choice. And this will be the actual amplification of your Symbalance. Because with it, you can boost someone's strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, intelligence, or charisma. You can boost any of the 6 core stats with it. Thus, I thought that fit really well. So I'm doing something here I don't usually do, and that's we're just going to ignore level 6 for Paladin, because we don't really gain anything of note. So we're just going to go right into level 7. Level 7 for Paladin, level 10 total of the build, we are gaining Divine Allegiance. And this is the main reason I decided to go for this oath for Jaune. Starting at level 7, when a creature within 5 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to magically substitute your own health for that of the target creature, causing that creature to not take the damage. Instead, you take it. Damage can't be reduced in any way, shape, or form, but this way, you're taking the damage, you have the health pool to back it up, and Jaune always to me seemed like a big defender of his team and his allies, so having that health pool to guard yourself made it seem a lot safer and a good bet to take. On top of this, hey, maybe then your teammate wouldn't get shot with a wooden arrow and die. Is that a spoiler we shouldn't say? Is that too harsh? Maybe a little harsh. Anyways, that's the build. I've been your host, GSmith624, and if the RWBY fandom still likes me, I am planning to do more characters from RWBY later down the line. However, they are not going to be the next build we do. The next build we do is going to be a surprise for everyone involved. That being said, though, I've been your host, GSmith624, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace!